This is part two of A License to Kill. I left off where I had antifreeze put in me after I had written a book, and Larry Flint was shot during that time. This is when the antifreeze was put in me was April the 1st of 80, April Fool Day. I want to go back and visit that time. I don't want to, but I want to get it here. I mentioned that I couldn't remember one of the name of the hospital. And that was West Paces Ferry Road. And I believe that was at the corner of Far Road where the governor's mansion is. And then on Highway 41 out to Rome, Georgia, out through Marietta, past where I lived, Moonraker, or close to it. Larry Flint, of course, endorsed me. I was out there in his home, and I'm not going to go in that. I've put it up enough. Since Larry McDonald, congressman, according to history, so renowned, I wish you knew the truth. Just Google him, and it's a lie. He went down in the plane. I'm not sure. I'm the one that said that I was informed that perhaps he wasn't on there. But it wasn't because he was a good guy or anything to do with Russia. That's not the reason he went down. They took Nixon off in Juneau, Alaska. And the plane went down with 260 plus on it. Supposedly he was on it, and I became a candidate to replace him. I'd written about him in the medical book, A License to Kill, MD, A License to Kill. So I don't want to spend too much time. This is my dad, Edward VIII. I found out in late 83. And he was forced to abdicate. This is the double look-alike, one of them that married Wallace Simpson. Wallace Simpson is shown here with Mrs. Roosevelt. Now, Mrs. Roosevelt is shown here when her husband, she's sitting behind Uncle George, or beside him, Hyde Park. This is the mother, Roosevelt's mother. This is illegal George VI's wife, and Elizabeth's mother with Roosevelt. Now, this was made in 39 when they're planning my kidnapping, because I was born in 39. And that was called the Hot Dog Festival. You would have to, I just recently was sent a video with that on it. It was all over the press back then and everything. You should read it and see who the people become that were guilty of taking over my country. Part of them were my own people. Churchill, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderbergers, Joe Kennedy, who was ambassador to England, 36 till they kicked him out in 46, and Roosevelt appointed him. So you get into a whole Eisenhower, the whole bunch of killers and crooks, and nothing's changed. This is the other double, or one of them, that married the spy Wallace Simpson and became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. My father, Edward VIII, was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe's sister, married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. This is Georgia O'Keeffe, my mom's sister, the artist. And this is me when they brought me over in 41. This was in 39. Lina Dempsey had killed her twins. They were born out of wedlock, and this is staged. It did not look like this. They did not have clothes or cars. It was a shack. I believe there's a movie made, The Shack, with Octavia Spencer. So this is Elizabeth. Everybody knows she's illegal monarch. She's a traitor. She's part of the Illuminati. And by the way, I just put this up. I come in contact with a site on the Real Monarchy. It was kind of weird. I had just entered the group off of Facebook, came in contact with it, and I've put it up. It was, her last name is Minor, and it was the Illuminati, some of the people that I've been telling about, well, of course, it's still that group, but they kidnapped me. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, I've said that, Kennedys. But I tried to put up about it, but they're saying that all about that it's a few members. I wish I could have got all of it, but about her, and that Well, she's illegal, but she won't do as they say do. She's doing her own thing, and et cetera, et cetera. And they go into saying something about that she sends out assassins if she gets upset, and she has to follow their rules. And I don't doubt that whatsoever. So I could go on and on with it, but it says there where they're going to finish taking down England. All right. Now, I'm leaving out part of what was on there, and I want to finish this. I wrote the book, MD: A License to Kill. Got a letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved. And I was, April Fool Day, I had antifreeze put in me, and I went to West Paces Ferry Hospital to have a tox screen done because I was in a living hell. I knew I was a goner. And I put this up, and I'm going to get to here. They illegally locked me up. I mean, you might as well say they locked me up. I couldn't get out. I went there, and a Dr. Chelton was there at the emergency room, and later they tried to say that he wasn't on their staff and they're not responsible. Well, for what went on there? Well, I can't get an attorney, so nobody's paid for it, you know. The press won't touch it because the Rockefellers, the people that kidnapped me, control your press. I was hoping when Sessions got in, he's from Alabama, there's so many crimes been committed there to me and my children. I was so hoping he would become, and he is U.S. Attorney General, but it seems that they're doing everything to take him down. I believe he's honest, and I don't know if he would prosecute the things or not. But anyway, I think he's honest, and he would be a heck of a lot better. Anyway, let me go with this, or this goes out. The doctor was Chelton at the emergency room, and he ordered a Dr. Paul Beecham in. They're supposed to be doing a text screen for me, you know, to see if they can neutralize it. Instead, this is illegal. I got locked up, and suddenly Lina Dempsey, the mother of the twins, I don't know where she spent that night, suddenly from Huntsville, Alabama, she's there. So, Dr. Hardiman, these, you should call them killers. They're using the mental health system. And by the way, I got a hold of a video. Well, it was sent, it is a video, but it's sent, and it was telling about it was in 1941 is when they're talking about the year like when they kidnapped me, brought me to Moulton, Alabama. But they're talking about 3 cousins of Elizabeth's mother, of the family, were locked in asylums in 41, and then evidently there's been a few since then. So and can't get out. The family didn't visit them. So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and tell. It's such a stigma, even if it's a misdiagnosis, deliberately done. I had no mental illness, nothing. They put him, and there's a story behind this, Victor Gonzalez, I've put up. Was a suit, and it's got a seal on it, that Gene Kaiser did the suit, and he was a former Fulton County District Attorney, a good man. Anyway, he was, Gonzalez was an intern at Parkland in Dallas when John Kennedy was killed and brought there in 1963. Now he ends up at Redstone Army Hospital when John and I, my husband and I, and my sons are living there. That's when the Jew, Hyman Miller, and Berg, the anesthesiologist, started the diagnosis murder, because it was absolutely a lie. He called for, my husband let it happen. So you get into, later, he's the one that finally had the tox screen, got a hold of it, and gave it to me. They wouldn't give it to me. Didn't do me any good. I gave it to everybody, and nobody would touch it. It was even done in Huntsville, Alabama, finally, after it wouldn't be done in Atlanta there. They didn't do it. Instead, they tried to finish me off. And So where'd the talk screen come from? They finally did it after what, April Fool Day and then Easter. I was over in Huntsville, Alabama, illegally transported by Lina, and about it was on Saturday night. On Wednesday, they finally did the report that I asked for on April Fool Day. So 6, 7, 8 on the ninth day. It was hell. And the report came back from Atlanta. It's supposed to come back from Alabama Crime Lab. By the way, the Georgia Crime Lab, a girl that worked for them had answered an ad I had in the paper because I was trying to work and do the book too, and for someone to type it for me. Well, she told me to call her if I needed to find out how she was doing with typing the book. I called, and it's Crime Lab, Georgia Crime Lab in Atlanta. So I thought I'd throw that in. Now, the doctor there at West Paces Ferry that Chelton illegally had me locked up, and you're supposed to be able to leave there anyway, but the way they handled it, they told me if I tried to leave, and remember, if you've had your brain baked and antifreeze put in you, it's nothing but sheer hell. Anyway, they told me that they would have an intern hold me and fill me full of Halidol. Well, this doctor, so-called doctor, he's a killer, Beechaum, and he's still in practice. Can you believe it? He's 78 years old in Marietta, Georgia. I can't find Chelton anymore. He was head of mental health way up there in the state of Georgia. Now then, in Dr. Hardiman, well, that's another thing I was writing about them. He was the one at Piedmont Hospital. That's where so much happens concerning Dr. Larry McDonald, congressman, that went down the plane, me writing about him, and the death of Gene Schrokerman. On Christmas Eve, I don't know, maybe it was 78, it was 7778, they shot her down, and she was suing a doctor, Cohen, for medical malpractice, rape, I believe it was. And my attorney had it, Gene Kaiser. He gave me the deposition and to put in the book, and the rest of it was taken by the police, Atlanta police. He said, and it was illegal to take it. Anyway, I threw that in. There's somebody else in there too I can't think of. Anyway, I can't explain what happened there. I had no money. It was hell. I thought I was going to die, but I had, they didn't do any of the tests they're supposed to do. And they did the urine analysis and then told me it came back. They left it out too long, so it wasn't a good catch. And 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is where I left off there, and I'm not going to get very much on, and I'm going to leave it at this. You get the point of what's been done to me and a little bit of what's been done to me and my children over the years of our lives. 3 o'clock that morning, and there was another person in my room. I'm not going to call them patients. This is becomes a way to kill you and torture you and get away with it. Now then, that night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I tied myself with a sheet because they gave me Halidol when I came in and forced me to take it, and then threatened me if I tried to leave. You're supposed to be just walk out there. There was no court order or anything. I went for a talk screen, for God's sake. Had a letter from the FBI. When I told them that, their answer was, well, that can be viewed two ways. You can like the FBI, or you think they're after you, or think they're helping you. Well, I had the letter from the FBI. I didn't have it with me, but that's easy enough to check out. Ongoing investigation, national security. Well, they were there, and I'm going to say this. Beechaum, I almost fell. I was so sick. They had done so much to me. He was in the room, and I'm falling, and I reach out to him, help me, and he said, you got to stop what you're saying about the doctors. Now, two people came in during the night. I don't know. I came in on Tuesday. That's April the 1st. Maybe it was No, it was probably about Wednesday night. Wednesday night came in at 3 o'clock and scared me to death. I didn't want, I wanted to live, but I knew if I stayed like that, and I was afraid they were killing me. I was going to die. And I was in so much pain. And the British lady saved my life and made them stop the Halidol. And I did go ahead and say I'd take, well, I couldn't. Anyway, I'm going to leave it. They had me terrorized. I knew that they'd tried to kill me and they weren't going to help me, except the Brit. So I think I thought it was a black. I don't know if he's a nurse, who he was, came in, and I can't remember if she's white or black. I think she was white. They took the left arm and was going to insert a needle, and I thought, well, here they go. I'm really dead now. And she said, well, she's got bad veins. But anyway, they put whatever it was in me, and then they left the swab in the arm, crook of my arm, with alcohol on it. And the next morning they came in. And by the way, this woman saw them. She said they don't come in and draw blood or do anything like that at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, she disappeared. She disappeared. But anyway, they came to do, that very morning, they came to do a urine analysis because supposedly this one was contaminated. Now then, I was in on it, and I knew they were going to kill me. And there was no contamination. They deliberately did it, along with not doing physicals, not doing anything that's required. My God, they locked me up and got away with it. Then I put the swab from my arm with the blood on it, and a toothbrush that I'd used that had a little bit of toothpaste on it. I did it deliberately. I put it in the clean catch they brought, and I put it in and stirred it up. They came and got it. Now then, my ex-husband comes in, who, by the way, was supposed to be supporting me in this. He ends up with my apartment illegal and what little I had in the bank, and it was all illegal, all of it. Okay? He comes in from California, which he had never been to California, at least not while we were married that I know of. He came back from California. He came in, and him and Dr. Beecham were really sweet with each other sitting there. Beecham was saying and grinning at him, well, we did the urine analysis. The first one was contaminated, but the one we just did was excellent. I looked at him, and I told him it couldn't be. I put toothpaste in it and blood swab where you came in that had alcohol. Well, my husband took me out Friday at noon. I'm begging to go home. He knows what's going on. Absolutely a part of it, all of it. The book, all of it. He takes me to Ridgeview in Marietta. It's where you take it's owned by doctors who are alcoholic. I've never drank in my life. I may have had 4 or 5 when my husband and I went out to a party, and they would encourage me to drink. I don't drink, so I ended up getting just Coke or coffee. Anyway, that doctor was okay, thank God, but I was in so much hell. You can't live like that, what they did to me. I should have died, and anyone else would have, I think. Anyway, I'm begging to go home or to see my children. My ex-husband shows up with Lana Dempsey, the mother of the twins, the one that I had to call mother, and Philip that worked for the ATF. I'll go ahead and say it. I don't mean to hurt him. I thought he was my baby brother growing up.